It was raining the morning the knock came. Soft rain, the kind that makes the rosemary lean toward the kitchen window and quiets the whole street. The kettle hummed. The house smelled like ginger tea and toast. My 2 kids were at the table with crayons, heads bent, tongues peeking out the way they do when they draw a house with a sun. The front door closed lightly behind the sound of the knock, like even the door knew to be gentle. I wiped my hands on a towel and opened it. A boy stood there. Not quite a man, not quite a child. Wet hair, a nervous jaw, eyes I knew too well. He held a folded paper and a photo in a plastic sleeve. His voice shook, but stayed steady enough to say the sentence that changed the shape of our home. "I'm looking for David," he said. "He's my father." For a second, everything in me tried to stay the same. The kettle clicked off. The rain kept its soft rhythm. Somewhere behind me, a crayon rolled off the table and hit the floor with a small sound. I looked at the photo. My husband, younger, holding a baby the way he held ours, careful, proud, like the whole world had gone quiet for him. The boy's eyes were the same. There are truths you don't need a test for. "Come in out of the rain," I said, and my own voice surprised me with how calm it was. "You can wait in the porch. It's warm there." I closed the inner door so my children couldn't see his face yet, and I stood with him between 2 worlds, the one we had and the one that was walking up our steps in wet shoes. I called my husband. "There's someone here to see you," I said. His voice went high and then flat and then very quiet. "I'm on my way," he said. The line went dead, and the house took a long, careful breath. I poured the boy tea in a chipped blue mug and watched his hand shake as he held it. He told me his name. He told me his mother had kept a secret until it was too heavy for her. He told me he didn't want to break anything. He just wanted a door to open. I nodded, and inside me, something strong and simple stood up. When the front door opened again and my husband stepped in, rain on his shoulders, the room turned. Not loud, not wild, just final. In that quiet, I understood the shape of the days ahead. I would tell the truth. I would protect my children. I would not be pushed out of the life I built with my 2 hands. Whatever came next, I would take my kids and I would keep the house. We live on a quiet street with a garden that tries its best. The rosemary by the kitchen window grows like it knows our names. There's a small porch with a bench that creaks only when you sit on the left side. Inside, the house smells like tea and clean laundry most days. We keep shoes by the door and crayons in a tin on the table that used to be my grandmother's. My name is Claire. I like simple things. I work at the clinic front desk. I know the faces of people who are trying to be brave. I know how to speak in a calm voice when I say, "The nurse will see you soon." At home, I keep a list on the fridge with magnets shaped like lemons. Milk, bread, laugh at least once. My 2 kids, Lily and Max, add drawings at the bottom. Stick people with long arms and sons with extra lines. David and I have been married for 10 years. We met on a rainy bus ride when my umbrella broke and he offered his. He had the kind of smile that makes you feel like a room has turned a lamp on. He worked in sales then, the travel kind, with a rolling suitcase that knew every airport floor. I worked early shifts at the cafe before the clinic, hands smelling like coffee and sugar. We were not fancy people. We were steady people. We bought this house the year Lily was born. The down payment was a small miracle. My savings, 3 years of overtime at the cafe, and a bit of money my mother left me in a plain envelope with a note that said, "You'll know when to use this." David built the crib himself in the living room with the pieces laid out like a map. I painted the walls a soft color I called morning. We argued gently about where to put the couch and laughed when we ended up in the same spot together. The deed has both our names. It was my idea, and he agreed. I remember the pen in my hand and the way my heart felt calm when I saw the letters on the paper. We fixed what needed fixing. We learned to rub a little wax on the door latch to help it close without that tired scrape. We planted rosemary and mint, and one year tomatoes that grew like a joke and then fell over with their own weight. David was a good father in all the ways that make a child feel safe. He made pancakes on Saturdays shaped like letters and let the kids flip the small ones. He read the same book 3 times in a row with all the voices and did not sigh. He could find lost shoes with a kind of magic. He remembered teacher names and made sure the soccer ball was in the car before practice. He was also a man who loved being needed outside the house. He liked the rush of a deal. He liked the way strangers shook his hand and said, "We're lucky to have you." He traveled more some years than others. He came home with tiny shampoo bottles and stories about winter in a city we would never move to. He was charming with the neighbor and kind to the kids at Halloween. He could fix a leaky tap and make me tea without asking how I take it. There were soft spots in our marriage, like any marriage. We argued about small things, how many nights he was away, whether the towel should be folded in thirds or halves, if the dishwasher should be loaded like a puzzle or like a shelf. We made up in the kitchen, forehead to forehead, the kettle between us humming like it approved. We had a spare key for his mother, who lives across town and brings us soup in winter, always too much dill in it, always made with love. There was also a year we hardly talk about. It was the year before Lily, when we thought we were not ready, and then maybe we were. His job changed. He traveled more. We had one of those, maybe we should take a week apart to think conversations, and then acted like we didn't say it. He went on a long trip. I worked double shifts and learned how to fix the cabinet hinge by watching a video. He came back quieter. We decided to move forward and not look back too hard. I wanted a family. He wanted a reset. We chose each other again. Lily arrived with a pink hat and a loud cry that made me laugh even though I was tired to the bone. Max came 3 years later with hair that stood up like he was surprised by the world. They turned our house into a place with laundry that never ended and laughter that did. The living room learned to host forts. The kitchen learned to survive flour clouds on baking days. I kept the bills in a binder on a shelf by the door. It is a plain binder with tabs, mortgage, utilities, insurance. I like tabs. They make a hard life feel a little more manageable. I paid things on time. I called when a number looked wrong. I made extra payments when David had a good quarter. I put $10 a week in an envelope labeled Fix-Its, and we used it when the roof needed a small patch or the washing machine sighed like a tired old man. Our bedroom is simple. A bed with a soft blue cover, a nightstand with a lamp that leans. My grandmother's ring dish sits by the mirror, a small white circle where I set my ring when I need bread. The window faces the garden. On rainy mornings, the glass wears a veil of silver, and the rosemary leans in like it wants to listen to the house breathe. We are the kind of parents who keep routines because they help. Homework at the table, shoes on the mat, bath at the same time most nights. We eat soup when we are sad. We eat cake when we are happy. We try to not eat either when we are angry. We say sorry in short sentences, and we hug in long ones. David's job moved to fewer trips in the last 2 years. He said he wanted more time with the kids. He coached Max's little team even though he does not know much about soccer beyond run and pass. He came to Lily's school play and brought flowers from the grocery store wrapped in paper that made a nice noise when she held it. There were days he was all here. There were days he looked like he was standing 2 feet away from his own life. Sometimes he would stare at old pictures pictures before us, a fishing trip with friends whose names I didn't learn, a New Year's Eve on a rooftop with a skyline full of lights, a woman smiling at a party, not close to him, not in a way that made me worry, just in the same frame. He would close the album and say, "We were wild then," and then look at me like I saved him from something wild that would have eaten him up. I am not a detective. I am a mother with 2 kids and a job and a houseplant I forget to water. My mind does not go hunting in shadows. My heart likes open windows and the sound of rain on a good roof. If there were hints, they were small, and I tucked them away because our life was full, and because love sometimes chooses to keep walking with its head up.
We did not talk much about his past love life. He knew mine, a high school boyfriend who left for the coast and sent postcards for a while, then stopped. A man who wanted to move fast when I wanted to move slow. He said he had had 2 serious girlfriends before me. He said one wanted a kind of life he could not give. He said the other left for graduate school. He said I was not ready. I nodded and believed him because I wanted to. When the boy knocked, our house was in its morning rhythm. Lily was drawing a cat that looked like a cloud. Max had jam on his cheek and a focus that would make you smile. The rain made the window a soft gray mirror. The kettle hummed. I wiped a cup with the corner of a towel. My ring made a small click against the mug, a sound I've always liked. There is a very specific feeling when the world you know takes a step to the left. It is not loud. It is not the crash people imagine. It is a quiet tilt, a sound like a room taking a breath. The boy stood on the porch with water running off his jacket hem, holding the paper and the photo like a person holding his own permission to exist. His eyes were David's eyes from 10 years ago. He said his name was Jacob. He said he was 17. He said his mother had told him the truth because she was tired of keeping it in her mouth like a stone. I sat him on the bench and brought him a towel for his hair. I told Lily and Max to take their crayons to the living room and draw a fort. They know my mom voice that sounds like a smile and a plan at the same time. They went, trusting the day to stay kind, because most of their days have. I called David and said, "There is someone here to see you." And he said, "Who?" And I said, "A boy who says he is your son." And then he didn't say anything. You learn a lot from the space after a sentence. I heard his breath go sharp and then flat and then low. He said, "I'm on my way," and the line went dead. While we waited, Jacob told me what he knew. His mother Mara had met David before me. A summer that felt long, a fall that got complicated. They split. She found out she was pregnant and told him. There was a fight. He sent money for a while. Then he stopped when she didn't return his calls. Or maybe it was the other way around. The story was a little foggy in the middle. Secrets make fog. He said he wasn't there to ask for anything. He wasn't looking for a father who would be a father overnight. He wanted to see the face that matched the mirror. He wanted to say the words out loud so they stopped chewing at him inside. He said, I thought about not coming, and then he looked at his shoes. I saw my children's faces in the shape of his. That's how genetics work. That's also how love works. It recognizes shapes and finds itself in them. I felt something hard and sad and also fierce rise in me. I poured him tea. I set a plate with 2 pieces of toast on the bench between us and said, "Eat, you're shaking." He smiled a little at that. "My mom says the same thing," he said. I've always been the person who keeps the house steady. I'm the one who checks the batteries in the flashlight and knows where the spare keys are. I know which drawer sticks and how to convince it to stop. I know how much the mortgage is and when the garbage truck comes if there's a holiday. I'm the person who sets out coats at the right time and keeps lemon slices in a jar for Key. It is not glamorous. It is a choice. It is a way of loving a family that keeps them from slipping on the small things. When David came in, his shoulders wet and his face pale, his eyes went straight to the boy and then to me, and then to the door where our kids were making a fort that would fall twice before it stayed. He looked like a person who wanted to split into 3 and could not. He said the boy's name without me telling him. That told me enough. "Inside," I said, and I opened the inner door. Lily looked up and said, "Dad?" And he said, "Hey, Bug," with a voice that tried to be normal and landed just shy. Max held up his drawing, proud. Jacob stood in the hall with the towel in his hands, like a person in a waiting room. The rest of that morning belongs to another part of the story, the part with the sharp lines and the soft ones, the part where the truth came out in sentences and pauses, the part where a family changed shape while standing in its own kitchen. But before all of that, there was this, a house that we built with our own hands, a woman who knew where the light switches were in the dark, 2 children who knew they were loved, a man with rain on his shoulders, and a boy with eyes that matched his. And me, standing in the middle, feeling the quiet tilt. I want to say this clearly. I did not hate Jacob. I could not. He was a child when he was born, like any child, and he was a child when this began. He was a young man now, but still someone's child. I did not love what this meant for us, but I could hold both truths at the same time. At lunch, I made soup because I did not know what else to do with my hands. Onions, carrots, rosemary. The house filled with a smell we all knew. I set a bowl in front of each person in the kitchen. I placed a spoon beside each bowl. I did not cry. I did not ask the questions yet. I fed the room. Because feeding is sometimes the only way to keep a roof from feeling like it might lift. Later, when the bowls were in the sink and the kids were in the other room building a fort that would hold this time, I took out the binder with the tabs. Mortgage, utilities, insurance. I set it on the table. I ran my hand over the cover. I knew, in the quiet way you know when rain is coming, that this binder would be my anchor. Not because of paper, because it held the life I built in plain lines. I set my ring dish on top of it for a second and then put it back by the mirror. I wiped the table with a clean cloth. I opened the window a finger's width to let the air move. When you are about to face a storm, you open the windows the right amount so the pressure doesn't crack the glass. My mother taught me that. She also taught me that love looks like soup and paperwork on the same day. That is the shape of us before the sharp part. A small house, a steady woman, 2 beloved kids, a husband with rain on his shoulders and a past that had finally reached our door. A boy with David's eyes holding a photo I could not look away from. And the quiet sound of a door that still closed softly, even when everything else was about to get loud inside our hearts.
David stood in the doorway with rain on his shoulders and his face gone a shade I had not seen before. Jacob held the towel like a folded flag. The house made that small hum it makes when the kettle has just been used and the heat still hangs in the air. I felt the quiet tilt a little more. I moved us to the kitchen because kitchens can hold hard things if you set them down carefully. I poured tea for all of us. Jacob sat on the bench and held the blue mug with both hands. David stood, then sat, then stood again, like a man who couldn't find a steady place on a boat. I pulled a chair out and patted the seat. He sat. "His name is Jacob," I said, because saying a name makes a person more real and also less frightening. David nodded. "I know," he said, and the words fell into the room like small stones in a clear pond. "How long have you known?" I asked. My voice was even. I wrapped my hands around my own cup and felt the warmth slip into my fingers. "Since he was born," he said. He could not find my eyes, so he looked at the steam. "Before you and me, the year before. I thought it was handled. I thought I could carry it alone." He let out a breath that sounded like a tire losing air. I was wrong. Jacob's eyes flicked between us. "I don't want to make trouble," he said. "I just needed to see him, to know." "You didn't make this trouble," I said, and I meant it. "You're standing in the rain asking to be seen. That's not trouble." From the other room, Max's laugh burst out and then shyly hid the way it does when he remembers there are other people in the house. Lily came to the doorway with a crayon behind her ear. "Who is that?" she asked, curious and open. "This is Jacob," I said. "He's a friend. He's going to have tea and then we'll talk more. Can you build me a very strong fort? I need to know a fort can hold." She nodded, serious in the way children are when you give them a job that sounds like a promise. "We can," she said, and she took Max back with her, and I heard the sound of blankets and plans. When the tea was gone and our hands had stopped shaking, I walked Jacob to the porch. The rain had eased to a mist. The rosemary leaned toward the glass like it was trying to listen, brave and green. "We need to talk as a family," I said. "Come back tomorrow afternoon, 4. We'll have food. We'll do this with kindness." He nodded, relief and fear both in his face. "Thank you," he said. "I'll come." When the door clicked shut, a small, polite sound, the garden seemed to hold its breath. I turned back to David. We stood at the table with the cup still warm and the smell of ginger and toast still kind in the room. I waited. I have learned to let silence go ahead of me and make a safe place for the truth. He said, "I'm sorry." The words were thin and real. "I should have told you before everything. I told myself I was protecting you and that I would tell you later, and later kept leaving the room." He swallowed. "I sent money for a while. Then it got complicated. Her new partner didn't want me in the picture. Then I thought maybe he wasn't." He stopped there, his mouth fighting for a clean line. He said, "There was a test, years ago. He is mine." My hand found the back of the chair and held on. "And the last 17 years?" I asked. "Did you see him?" My voice did not rise. It did not shake. I felt it set like a plank across moving water. "A few times," he said, "when he was small, once in a park, once at a fair. His mom changed numbers, then changed again. When we married, I told myself I could keep that piece in a separate box. I told myself if I built this house well, the other house in my past would go quiet. I told myself a lot of things." He looked up at me finally. His eyes were raw. I was a coward. "Did you use our money?" "Not to stab, to understand the ground." He said, I used my bonuses. I used a card. Once, when my card was maxed, I used the joint account, a small transfer. I meant to put it back in 2 days. It took 3 months. You asked that week about the balance, and I said there was a travel hold. There was. It wasn't that. I remembered that week. The soup I made, the extra call to the bank, the way he had held my shoulders and kissed the top of my head as if love could press numbers back into place. I closed my eyes for a second and opened them. The cups on the table were still cups. The room was still a room. We will keep the kids out of the middle. That's first. We will tell them a simple truth they can carry. That's second. Third, you and I will talk about money and time and what honesty looks like now. We will do it with paper and with light. He nodded. He looked very tired. He looked like a man who had been holding a wall that was not his to hold and finally let his arms drop. He put his face in his hands and then rubbed them hard like he could wake a better day. That evening, after the kids were asleep and the quiet felt like a kind blanket, I took down the binder. Mortgage, utilities, insurance. I slid a new tab in at the back. Plan. I wrote the word in block letters, simple and straight. Under it, I made 4 lists. Kids, what to tell. School counselor. Routines, stay solid, no sudden changes. Money. Protect the house. Check accounts, new passwords. My own account for my pay. Copies of the deed, copies of the mortgage, proof of my mother's envelope. Legal. Talk to a family lawyer, ask about the house, ask about rights if we pause before we pull apart. Heart. Therapy, tea, sleep. Don't pick up what is not mine.
I slept some that night, not the whole way through. Enough. The rain stopped. The house adjusted to the new quiet. The rosemary stood in the dark, small and sure. In the morning, I told Lily and Max a simple truth. We sat on the couch with a blanket over our knees. I held their hands. You know how families are all shapes? I said. They nodded, thinking of friends with 2 houses and 1 house and grandma houses. You have a brother, I said. His name is Jacob. He is older. He has lived with his mom. He came to see Dad. He will not live here. He is part of our family in a new way. You are safe. Our house is your house. Lily's eyes went wide, then soft. Will he take Dad? She asked, small. No, I said. Love doesn't run out like milk. It stretches. Max looked at the fort he had built and then at me. Does he like forts? He asked. I don't know, I said. You can ask him one day. I called the school counselor. Just a note, I said. Our family changed shape. The kids might be quiet. They might be loud. Please be kind. We will, she said. You're doing a good job. At noon, I called Mara. I did not want to make her a shadow. She answered on the second ring. Her voice was calm and careful. Hi, I said. I'm Claire. I thought you might call, she said. He told me he came. Can we meet? I asked. Not to fight, to understand. She chose a small cafe near the park. The room smelled like coffee and cinnamon. We sat by the window. She wore a simple sweater and no rings. Her hands were steady. Her eyes were older than mine, in a way that says a person has had to be a mother alone a long time. I'm not here to turn you into a villain, I said. I'm here to ask for the truth. She nodded. We were young, she said. We were good, and then we were not. We argued. I told him about the baby. He sent money. I asked him to be all in or not. He said he wasn't ready. I said, then stay out. I changed my number when he called late and said he missed us in a way that made it sound like regret and not a plan. I nut someone else. He was kind for a while. He didn't last. I did the school and the shots and the nights. Jacob knew I loved him. He also knew he looked like someone. She sipped her coffee and went on. I didn't know when he got married. I didn't watch him. I didn't put my life on pause. A year ago, Jacob asked me. He said, I want to see him before I turn 18. I told him I would help if he did it kindly. I did not send him to your door to hurt you. I told him to get a haircut and bring a photo and not to raise his voice. She smiled a little at that. He did 2 of those things. I smiled because I could see it. I asked about money. I asked if there were debts. I asked if there were promises made that I didn't know about. She shook her head. He sent less, then nothing. I did not chase him. I chased deadlines and fevers. We were okay. We made it. I am sorry for the shock. I am not sorry I told my son he had a father's name. Thank you, I said. It didn't fix anything. It made the air around the facts warmer. We agreed on one thing. No surprise visits. Visits would be planned. Time would be held like a bowl so nothing spilled. The kids would be protected. Jacob would be respected. I paid for the coffee because I needed to pay for something, and that was what was in front of me. That afternoon, David came home with flowers. He set them on the counter and looked at them like he didn't know what to do with his hands. I told my mother. He said, she sent soup. I told the kids, they are okay for today. He took a breath. I want to be in his life. I know, I said. You will do it with care, without stealing from this house, without lies. I will try. I will do better than try. He told me about 2 trips that were not exactly for work. He told me about a park bench and a birthday where he stood far away and watched Jacob skate and felt like a ghost. He told me about a test done in a clinic room that smelled like vinyl and lemon, where the nurse did not look up and the paper crinkled under his hands. His voice was small and plain. I listened. I did not soothe. I did not scold. I added those pieces to the map. We made a schedule on the back of a grocery list. Small boxes, times, 1 visit, 2 hours, a park. No sleepovers, no long trips. Jacob would come here once, later, when the water was calmer, for dinner. We would keep the room simple. We would cook something easy. We would not pretend it was a normal day, and we would not make it a parade. That night, after the kids fell asleep with their mouths open like small fish, I opened the binder again. I printed the last 6 months of bank statements. I circled 2 transfers I didn't recognize and wrote their dates in neat letters. I changed the passwords on the joint account and told him the new ones were in the binder to use in our own kitchen, together. I opened my own account at the credit union around the corner on my lunch break the next day and moved my pay there. I looked at the deed and put a sticky note where my mother's envelope contribution was written in the file, the line that says, gift of separate funds, because I knew it mattered, and also because it felt like my mother was in the room with me again saying, you'll know when to use this. I made an appointment with a family lawyer. Her office was above a bakery. The waiting room smelled like sugar and paper. She had gentle eyes and a cardigan with a little pull on one sleeve. I don't know yet if I want to separate, I said, but I need to know how to keep my kids and my house steady.
She nodded like she had heard this before. You can make an agreement for the house, she said. You can ask for exclusive possession while the dust settles, especially with young children. You can keep paying the mortgage. You can ask for a buyout later or refinance in your name if you want. Your mother's gift will matter. Judges like stability for kids. You can do this quietly. The words quiet and stability felt like warm bread in my hands. I nodded. We made a list. She told me not to sign anything in a hurry. She told me to be kind in emails because they can become part of a file. She told me the house is sometimes the softest and the hardest thing in the story, and it helps to choose your line early. I walked back to the clinic with my steps feeling even. I made copies that afternoon. I put them in a folder labeled House. I slid it into the binder. I wrote in my notebook in that small, neat voice I keep for myself,
You are doing the next right thing. Drink water, feed the children. Do not pick up what is not yours. The first visit with Jacob happened on a Friday. The sky was clear. We chose the park with the swings that don't squeak and a bench that faces the pond. I brought a small bag with wipes and apples and patience. David sat on the bench. Jacob sat with him. They talked slow. They looked at the water. They laughed once, and the sound made my chest hurt in a good and bad way at the same time. I pushed Max and Lily on the swings until their legs grew tired and their hands smelt like metal. We walked home through the long light and made pasta. The kids asked a few small questions. Does he like dogs? Does he read comic books? Questions they could carry. I answered with honest guesses. We ate. We cleaned. We watched a simple show. The door closed with a soft click when we went to bed. The house did not complain. A week later, I found an envelope in our mail with David's name on it and a return address I didn't know. It was a letter from a month ago, a clinic, a confirmation, not the test years ago, a new acknowledgement of paternity filed last winter. My hand went cold. I set the letter on the table and made tea because I didn't know what else to do in the 3 minutes it takes water to boil. When he came home, I put the letter on the table and sat across from it. You knew last winter, I said, not a question. He looked at the paper and closed his eyes. Yes, he said. I would have liked to be married to the truth, I said, and my voice was so calm it surprised me, even if the truth is hard. He said, I was afraid if I told you I would lose you. I thought if I had proof and a plan, it would be better. What plan? I asked. He looked at his hands. To tell you after his birthday, to ask you to help me do it right, to be something else than the man I have been. He shook his head. I didn't do it. I waited. He came. I looked at the letter again. It was simple. It had a stamp. It had a date. And I felt something inside me shift into place. Not a snap, a click, the kind a drawer makes when you finally fix the track. I won't leave my house, I said. I won't pull the kids out of their beds. We will not sell because you feel guilty or because you want a fresh start. We will make a plan that keeps them steady. If you need to leave, you will go. I will stay. We can be kind. We can be fair. But I will not be pushed out of the life I built. He nodded, slow. He said, I don't want to push you out. I don't know what I want besides to stop lying and to know my son. You can do both, I said, but not here. Not in this body of a marriage, not like this, unless you have a plan I can live with. Think, then bring it to the table. He slept on the couch that night. The sound of the door when I went to let the cat in was the same soft click. The house held us both without choosing sides. In the morning, I made pancakes for the kids in letter shapes. L for Lily, M for Max, C for Claire. I put a D on a plate and left it under foil on the stove. He ate it at the counter while I tied shoelaces and signed a library slip. That week, I went to therapy. The room smelled like old books and new plants. The woman had that slow nod you can lean on. I told her the story in short lines. She said, "You are moving with care. Keep doing that." She said, "You can be angry and kind at the same time. It is hard. It is possible." She said, "Make a list of what you will keep no matter what." I wrote kids' beds in their rooms, the kitchen table, my job, the blue mug, the rosemary by the window, the Wednesday soup, the binder. the way I tell the truth. When Jacob came for dinner, it was simple: spaghetti, bread, a salad that looked like a garden on a plate. He sat at the table, and Max asked if he liked soccer. He said, "I can kick a ball." Lily asked if he could draw a cat. He tried. It looked like a cloud. She laughed and put it on the fridge with a magnet shaped like a lemon. David watched all of us, and something in his face unhooked and then hooked again. The night felt like a blanket with a new thread. After Jacob left, the house was quiet in that way it is after company, like the walls are remembering new voices. I washed the bowls. David dried them. He asked, "What do you need from me?" I said, "The truth, every time, and a plan that does not make the children's lives the price of your change." He nodded. He said, "I'll write it down. I know you like paper." I said I like paper because it holds people to their promises, including me. The next day, an envelope arrived from him with the subject line, "Plan." It had 2 columns, mine/ours, his. It said he would get a small apartment nearby if we separated. He would do pickups and drop-offs that did not cut into bedtime. He would keep paying half the mortgage until we could refinance or buy out. He would not bring Jacob into the house until we all had a rhythm that kept little hearts from wobbling. He would go to therapy. He would attend a father's group on Tuesday nights at the community center. He would not use the joint account for surprises. He would tell his mother to visit the kids at the park for a while, not here, so the house could be a calm place. I printed it. I put it in the binder under Plan. It was not perfect. It was a start. I drew a line under it and wrote, "What about the house title? What about my mother's envelope? What about holidays? What about the day when Jacob turns 18? We set a time to talk with the lawyer. We added those lines to the plan. The part that almost broke me came small, not a big thing, a line on a credit card statement with a store name I did not know. I looked it up on my phone, a jeweler, 3 months ago. I felt a flush of heat rise into my face. When he came in, I held the paper up. "What is this?" I asked. He looked at it like it might tell him a different story. "A chain for Jacob," he said, "for his birthday." "Did you give it to him?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "I met him at the park. I did not know how to be a father. I bought a thing." I breathed out. The heat moved through me and out with the breath. "We do not buy our way out of hard things," I said. "We carry them. We set tables. We make plans." He nodded. "I know," he said. "I'm learning." We were a long way from done. We were also a long way from the morning I opened the door and saw a boy in the rain. The house had held us. The plan had begun to take shape. The children were sleeping. The rosemary was still bending toward the light. I went to bed with my hand on the binder, not because paper can save a marriage, because paper can save a house, because paper can remind you what you promised when your throat is tight and your heart is tired, because lists are just ways of holding yourself steady when the floor moves. I did not know yet if we would stay married. I knew I would stay kind. I knew I would stay in my house. I knew I would walk my children to school and put soup on the stove and pay the bell and set my blue mug down on the table and open the window a finger's width to let the air change without blowing us over. I knew that the next day would ask for the same things the last day did: truth, bread, patience, a locked door that opens with our own key. The turning came not with a shout, but with a piece of paper and a choice that would decide where each of us slept and how we would celebrate Sundays. It was a door, simple and solid. I would open it. I would ask him to choose which side he wanted to stand on, and I would keep the house that had learned our names.
The day I chose the shape of our life was bright and cool. The rain had gone and left the street clean. The rosemary by the kitchen window stood straight again, drops still clinging to its tips like tiny beads. I set the table the way I do when I want to keep a room gentle. 2 cups, a plate of sliced apples, the binder with tabs, and a plain envelope with my name on it and another with his. I had gone back to the lawyer the day before. We sat in the office above the bakery, the smell of sugar and paper rising together. She listened while I told her about the letter from the winter, the chain for the birthday, the way the kids slept with their mouths open like fish, because that is what safe children do. She wrote notes in neat lines. Then she slid 2 sheets across the desk. "This is not a fight," she said. "It's a choice. You can offer 2 paths. Both protect the kids. Both keep the house steady. Both ask for honesty. You don't need to shout. You need signatures." I took the papers home in a folder and put them under the tab I had made, Plan. That morning, I laid them on the table and made tea. My hands were steady. My heart felt like a kite held by a good string. David came in wearing the tired face of a man who had not slept all the way through. He looked at the apples, the cups, the binder, the envelopes. He sat without me asking, which told me he was ready to listen. "I have 2 doors," I said. "You can choose. Either way, the kids stay steady. Either way, the house stays with them. Either way, the truth lives here." He nodded, eyes on my hands. I slid the first page toward him. I kept my voice even and kind. "Door 1, I said. "We try to stay married, but not the old way. We do it with full light. That means family therapy for 6 months. You tell the kids a version they can carry. You do weekly counseling alone. You go to the fathers group on Tuesdays. We see a mediator. We sign a postnup that moves the house into my name over time, title to me, you on the mortgage until we refinance within 2 years. You keep paying your share while we're in it together. No secret money, no secret meetings. Any time with Jacob is planned and open. You do not bring him into this house without talking to me first and to his mother and to our counselor. We make a written budget. No surprises." He read, mouth a thin line. I poured tea and let him hear the small sounds of our kitchen being a kitchen, a kettle, the clock, the garden outside busy with a bird. "Door 2, I said, and slid the second paper across the wood. "We separate now. You move to an apartment nearby by the 1st of the month. We sign a temporary agreement that says I have the house with the kids, exclusive possession for a year while we decide the final plan. You keep paying your half of the mortgage and basic bills. We set a parenting schedule that keeps the kids steady. Weekdays mostly with me, dinner with you twice, every other weekend days. No overnights for a while. You meet with Jacob at Parks and his home, not in this house, until our kids know how to breathe
through the new shape of their family. We keep it calm. After a year, we choose buy out and refinance to me, or we sell and split after the kids are stronger. My mother's gift stays mine in the split. That keeps things fair. He looked at the paper. He looked at me. He picked up an apple slice and set it back down. You already talked to a lawyer. I did, I said, to find the kindest way to do this without throwing our lives on the floor. He nodded, a slow, painful understanding moving across his face. He read both pages again, lips moving a little like a child learning a new line. He put his finger on one sentence under door 1, the postnup, the house to you. Yes, I said, not to punish you, to keep the kids steady. I pay this house even if my heart hurts. I cook soup here. I walk them to school from here. I know where the leaking pipes are and how the door slides quiet if you rub wax on the latch. I am the one who will not move them unless the roof falls in. He nodded. He did not argue. He put his finger on a line under door 2, exclusive possession. I mean, you don't live here. You have a key for emergencies. You don't walk in. You don't sleep on the couch when you're tired. You don't stand in the kitchen like a ghost. The kids sleep in their beds. Their backpacks hang on their hooks. Their feet learn the sound of one home being home. You take them to the park and to your apartment when they're ready for that. You bring them back fed and kind. He leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling for a long breath. The light made a square on the table. The rosemary brushed the glass outside when the wind moved, a tiny, steady sound. When he looked back at me, his eyes were wet and clear. I don't deserve door 1, he said. I held his gaze. It isn't about deserve. It's about what you can do, all the way, now, not in a plan for later. He wiped his face with the heel of his hand. I am not ready to be the man door 1 needs. I want to be. I am not there. I can tell you that without lying. I won't risk the house or the kids or you on my wish. I nodded. The nod felt like a small door clicking into its frame. Then we pick door 2, I said. We will be kind. We will write it down. We will sign. He put his hand on the paper, the way you put a hand on a table to steady yourself. I am sorry. I'm sorry for the years I turned my face from this. I'm sorry for the winter letter. I'm sorry for the chain. I am sorry you had to become the grown-up I should have been. I know, I said. I believe you. The sorry will matter in paper and time. We called the lawyer on speaker and set an appointment for the next day. We spoke like people planning a weekend, not a break, because calm words keep the air kind.
We told her our choice. She said she would draft the temporary agreement for the house and the parenting schedule. She told us to keep our emails to lists and times. That afternoon, I wrote a short list on the inside of the cabinet door where the mugs hang next to my pocket list. Call utilities. Change autopay to my account. Add my name to the electric if it's missing. Calendar for the kids on the fridge. Therapy appointments Tuesday and Thursday. Soup Wednesday. I called Mara and told her the plan. Thank you, she said, for keeping Jacob out of the battle I worried might come. There is no battle, I said. There is a table and paper. That's it. She laughed, relief making the sound soft. If more people used paper and tables, we'd all be okay. We told the kids in short words they could carry. We sat on the couch with the blanket again. Dad is going to live nearby for a while, I said. You will see him a lot. You will sleep here. Your beds stay your beds. Your hooks stay your hooks. Your cereal is here, and your socks are in the drawer that sticks a little. You are safe. Lily asked, Is it because of Jacob? It is because grown-ups made choices and are making new ones, I said. You did nothing wrong. Jacob did nothing wrong. We will all keep loving you in the same big way. Max asked, Can Dad still coach? Not this season, David said, voice low, but I'll be at the games. I'll bring oranges. They nodded, their faces small and brave. I held them until they wiggled away to build a new fort, one built with this news as part of the plan. The lawyer sent the draft that night. It was simple on purpose. It said, Claire keeps the house with the kids for 1 year while both parties decide the final shape. David moves out within 21 days. He continues to pay half the mortgage and utilities listed. He does pickups Tuesdays and Thursdays for dinner, returns by 7:30 and daytime Saturdays. No overnights for now. Both agree, calm handoffs, no surprises, no new people at handoffs, no talk of adult things in front of the kids. Claire will not move the children out of the school zone during this period. David will not remove them from the city without writing. Jacob will be introduced slowly and kindly at parks and neutral places with clear times. Both will attend 3 family therapy sessions to learn to talk in front of each other without breaking the room. We read it at the table, cups beside us, pens ready. He signed. I signed. We didn't clink glasses or make a joke. We put the papers back into the envelope and slid it into the binder under plan. I wrote the date in my small, neat hand. The sound of the pen on the paper felt like a strange kind of relief, like putting down a heavy box you didn't know you could carry so long. The day he moved out was bright and unfairly beautiful. The kids were at school because we wanted the room to be quiet and fast. He packed clothes and books and a pan he likes. I packed a small box for him with kid things he could keep in his new place. Pajamas, a toothbrush with a blue stripe, a deck of cards. I labeled it for Dads. He cried a little when he saw the label. He tried to hide it and then didn't. We stood by the door when he picked up his bag. He said, I will be here at 5 for dinner with the kids. I said, Okay, text before you ring. He looked past me at the kitchen, at the binder on the shelf, at the sprig of rosemary in the jar by the sink. He smiled a small, sad smile. He said, You kept us alive. I said, I kept the house steady. You can keep your promises steady now. He nodded, pressed his palm to the doorframe the way people press their hand to a tree when they leave a camp, and stepped out. The door closed with that soft, good sound, like punctuation when the sentence is right. I made tea and stood by the window. The garden looked back at me, green and sure. The house felt taller somehow, like it had been holding its breath and could finally lift its chest all the way. I opened the window a finger's width and let the air move. The kettle clicked off. The clock ticked. The quiet was a friend. The next week, the rhythm began. He came at 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He texted first. He did not ring early. He did not linger late. He took the kids for pizza on the corner and brought them back smelling like oregano and sugar. He washed their hands at his sink before they left his new place. He sent a photo of them smiling with a puzzle half done. He did not send photos to make me jealous. He sent them like a man proud to be doing his job. On Saturday afternoons, he and Jacob sat on a bench at the park while our kids made forts under the big tree with other children, sticks and leaves and big plans. Lily showed Jacob how to draw a cat that looks like a cloud on a napkin. Max kicked a ball toward them without being asked, and Jacob kicked it back.
The sound of their laughter surprised my chest again, but this time it did not hurt as much. It sounded like a new room being added to a house you thought was finished. There was one hard night. It always comes. He texted late. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer because the kids were asleep, and my rule was no big talks after 9. In the morning, he wrote, "I felt lonely. I wanted to say I almost asked if I could come over and sleep on the couch. I didn't." I wrote back, "Thank you for not asking. Thank you for telling me anyway. Please tell your therapist, tell your group, tell a friend. Do not tell me at midnight." He wrote, "Okay." Then, "I'm proud of the kids." That one I said yes to. The kids were okay in the way kids are when the adults keep the floor steady. They were quiet sometimes. They were loud others. Lily asked once, "If we go to Dad's, do we still live here?" I said, "Yes, your home is here. You can have 2 safe places and 1 steady home." She nodded like a person who just learned where the river is in a new town.
Max put a drawing on the fridge labeled "Our House." It had 3 windows and a door and a big sun. Next to it, he drew a smaller house with 1 window and a door labeled Dad's. He drew a stick figure with a big smile on the porch of each. He drew a 3rd figure off to the side holding a ball and wrote J above it. He connected them with lines like roads. It made my throat warm. At the end of the month, I sat with the banker at the credit union and asked about the refinance we agreed to consider in a year. "Bring your pay stubs," she said. "Bring the agreement. If you keep this up, you can do it." I wrote it on my list. I like the feel of a year. I could cook a lot of soup in a year. I could grow a lot of rosemary in a year. I went to therapy and said, "I chose door 2. The counselor nodded. "How does your house feel?" she asked. "Like a friend," I said, "like a thing I built and am allowed to keep." We set up family therapy. The kids sat in small chairs with soft edges and rolled a ball back and forth, saying one word they felt when they caught it. "Safe," said Lily. "Hungry," said Max, which made us all laugh because he is always hungry. "Tired," I said. "Sorry," said David. The therapist nodded and wrote it all down like it was a recipe she trusted. Later, alone in my kitchen, I took the 2-door papers out of the binder and put them in a manila envelope with the date. I wrote on the front, "We chose door 2 with kindness." I slid it into the back of the binder and felt something inside me settle. Not the ending, the turning. When the kids went to bed that night, I sat at the table with my blue mug. The house hummed its soft, steady song. I touched the rosemary on the sill and let the clean smell fill my head. I thought about the path we had chosen, the apartment keys on a new hook somewhere, the small box labeled "For Dads" with a toothbrush in it, the park with the swings, the bench by the pond, the paper with signatures that did not feel like a door slamming, but like a door closing gently so the weather stays outside. I whispered to the room, "Thank you," the way I do when a day was hard and good at the same time. The door clicked softly when I got up to lock it. The window stayed open a finger's width because the night was kind. I went to bed in my house with my kids asleep in their beds and did not feel like I had stolen anything. I felt like I had kept a promise. The first night after he moved out was quiet in a new way, not empty, not echoing, just quiet, like a room that understands what it is for. The kettle hummed. The window wore a thin line of fog where my breath met the glass. The garden looked back at me, green and sure. I stood with my blue mug and let the steam touch my face. I made a small list before bed. It said, keys by the door, kids' backpacks ready, sign permission slip, soup tomorrow. I taped it inside the cabinet where the mugs live. I like a list. It turns a big feeling into small steps. When I turned off the light, the door closed with that soft sound I have always liked. It felt like an act of care. In the morning, the house remembered our rhythm. Breakfast, shoes, jackets that never want to find the right hook. Max dropped his spoon and it made a little ring on the floor. Lily tucked her hair behind her ear and asked if she could bring markers to school. We moved through the rooms the way you do when your body knows a path. I told them again, simply, what the week would look like. Dad will pick you up at 5 on Tuesday and Thursday, I said. He will bring you home by 7:30. Saturday, you will have pizza outside. Bed is here. Home is here. They nodded. Kids like a map. I went to work and said nothing to anyone who could not hold it. I smiled at a woman whose hands shook when she signed her name. You're doing fine, I said. I meant it. At lunch, I walked once around the block and felt the air on my face. It smelled like warm bread from the bakery and a little like rain that changed its mind and left. On Wednesday, I made soup. Onions, carrots, rosemary. The smell filled the kitchen like a blanket. I put bowls on the table with spoons that belonged to my grandmother. We ate and talked about a spelling test and a silly joke from Max's teacher. It was a normal night. That is a gift I do not waste now. David came on time on Tuesday and Thursday. He texted first, like we agreed. He took them to the park and to the pizza place with the red booths. He sent a photo of Max with sauce on his chin and Lily with a folded napkin crown on her head. He brought them back smelling like oregano and outside air. He stood on the mat, shoes side by side, and did not step into the house unless a shoe needed tying. He said, "Good night," and the door made its soft click. It is a small thing to say your goodbye from the mat. It is also a big thing. We went to the family therapist on Tuesday afternoon. The room had a plant that looked like it had been cut back hard and come back stronger. The couches were low and soft. She asked us to roll a ball and say one word when we caught it. "Brave," said Lily. "Hungry," said Max, again, because that is his joke now and his truth. "Tired," I said. "Trying," said David. The therapist wrote the words like she was collecting stones to build a small wall to sit on. She gave us a phrase to use when the day felt slippery. "Right now," she said, say, "Right now we are safe," or "Right now we are eating soup," or "Right now we are talking." It keeps your mind from running down a hallway alone. We tried it that night at dinner. "Right now we are eating," I said, and the kids laughed and said, "We can tell, Mom." But later, when Lily awoke with a worry and asked if the house would ever be different, I said, "Right now we are in our beds. Right now our house is ours." She nodded against the pillow. I called the credit union and made an appointment with the banker again. I brought pay stubs and the temporary agreement. She wore a soft scarf and smiled with her eyes. "You're doing the right steps. Keep the payments steady. We'll talk again in a few months." I left feeling like someone had put a hand on my shoulder and said, "You can." Mara and I kept our promise to be kind. We sent short messages. "Park at 4? He has a cold. We'll keep it calm. Thank you." I liked the way our messages looked on the screen. No drama, no heavy weather, just weather. Once, she sent me a photo of Jacob and Max on a bench, heads bent over a silly joke book, both laughing. I smiled at it and did not feel like it took anything from us. It added. Jacob came to dinner once a month at first. We kept it simple. Pasta, salad, bread. He showed Max how to spin a fork to pick up spaghetti without slapping the table. Lily showed him how to draw a cat that looks like a cloud with one line. He told us about a class where he had to give a speech and how he had held the paper so tight it made a curl. I do that too, I said. He looked surprised and then not surprised at all. There were hard moments. The first time Lily ran to the window when she heard a car and it was not David's. The first Saturday, Max came home quiet and said, "Dad's place smells different." And we had to talk about how different can be okay, and also that it's okay not to like it right away. The day a letter from the mortgage company addressed to Mr. and Mrs. made my chest ache with a kind of old sadness I didn't know would still come. I let myself feel it. I drank tea. I put the letter in the binder under house. Paper doesn't always need a feeling around it. By the end of the first month, the binder had new pages, a calendar for pickups and school events, copies of the signed temporary agreement, a list of utilities with my name beside them, a printout from the bank with the mortgage payment circled and the word "on time" written in my hand. I liked writing those words. They felt like someone telling me I was doing fine. We had 2 sessions of co-parenting counseling with a mediator. He was calm in a way that made the room feel solid. He asked us to speak in simple sentences and to use the kids' names instead of they. It sounds small. It is not. Lily needs an early bedtime. Max hates when plans change. Claire needs a text before the door. David needs to know if baseball switches nights. We wrote a few lines on paper together and signed. We took a photo and set it as a favorite in our phones. When we forgot, we looked. It helped. On a bright Saturday, we walked to the park all together. It was not planned. They were there, we were there. The bench was free. The pond had ducks. The kids ran to the big tree to build a fort with other kids using sticks and leaves and too much hope. David and Jacob sat side by side. I sat on the next bench with Mara. We did not become friends. We became 2 women who can sit on a bench in the same light without making the air sharp. "Thank you," she said after a while, her eyes on our children. "For what?" I asked.
"For not making him choose," she said. "For letting this be messy and kind." "I am not always kind," I said, "but I try." "I see it," she said. We watched Max run by with a stick that was too big. Lily shouted, "Left, left, left," at nothing anyone could see, and we laughed like people whose houses are different and still whole. Spring turned to summer. We planted tomatoes again, and this time we used sticks and string to hold them up. The rosemary did its stubborn, steady work. The kitchen learned new light from the later sunsets. I bought a fan that hummed at night like a faraway sea. The kids ran through sprinklers and came in smelling like wet grass and sun. David came by exactly when he said he would and left when he said he would. The rhythm held. He went to the fathers group, and sometimes he said a sentence about it like, "We talked about listening," and I said, "Good," and that was enough. There were nights when anger knocked. I gave it a chair and a time limit. I did not serve it soup. I wrote in my notebook, and then I put the notebook away. I told my therapist, "I am tired of being the strong one," and she said, "Lay it down here for a minute." And we sat in the quiet like that was work, because it is. In the fall, school started again. New shoes, sharp pencils. The morning light changed. The house learned to hold early darkness. We put a small string of lights in the kitchen window, just enough to make the glass glow. It looked like a promise to me.
We had our 1-year mark meeting with the lawyer in late winter. We sat in the office above the bakery again. It smelled like sugar and paper and coffee this time. She spread out new papers. "You can decide now," she said. "Buy out and refinance, or sell. You both said you wanted to keep the kids steady. That means buy out to Claire, refinance in her name. David, you can sign a quitclaim. The mother's gift remains separate. It is fair, it is kind, it is done." He nodded without making it heavy. "Yes," he said. He did not make a speech. He signed. I signed. We walked down the stairs and stood on the sidewalk for a minute while the smell from the bakery wrapped around us like a better idea for a life. "I will miss living there," he said. Not a complaint, just a simple thing. "I know," I said. "You can be in their lives without living in the house." He nodded. "Thank you for not burning it down," he said. "I like my kitchen," I said, and we both laughed. Then we walked in opposite directions like two people who learned how to be kind to a shared history without living inside it. The day the refinance was approved, the banker called me. "It's done," she said. "Congratulations." I stood very still in my kitchen and listened to those words. I could hear my mother's voice in the memory of her envelope. "You'll know when to use this." I had. I put the paper in the binder under house and wrote another "on time" in my small, neat hand. I bought a small doormat that said home and set it by the door. We told the kids with 2 small words. "We stayed," I said at the table. "This house is ours." Lily clapped. Max asked if that meant we could paint his room green. "Yes," I said. We taped squares of green paper to the wall and stood back with our hands on our hips like very serious decorators. We settled on a soft green that looked like a morning. Jacob turned 18 that spring. We had a picnic in the park with 2 blankets and too much food. He blew out candles on a cake his mother baked. Lily handed him a card she made with a cat that looked like a cloud. Max gave him a ball and said, "For when I am not there to pass it." David looked at him the way a father looks when his heart is too full and stayed seated anyway. I watched like a person who can love the people in front of her and keep her house at the same time. There were days I looked at my hands and felt proud, not the loud kind, the quiet kind that tastes like strong tea. I had done small things for many days. I had opened the window a finger's width. I had kept soup on the stove. I had learned how to read documents and ask questions without letting fear write them. I had chosen not to make a storm when a lantern would do. I had kept the children's beds in their rooms and their shoes on their hooks and our life in its house. There were still days that were hard. A song in a store, a photo on the fridge, a paper that said Mr. and Mrs., and I had to call and change it. I let those moments be what they were. I did not let them own the day. One evening, after he dropped the kids off, David stood on the mat and looked at me. He held the edge of the door with one hand. "You forgave me, and I don't know how to carry that sometimes," he said. "I forgave you because I did not want to carry this forever. It keeps the house cleaner." He smiled a little at that, and then he left the mat, and the door made its soft click. The house was quiet, in the good way again. I keep the binder on the shelf by the door. The tab called Plan is full now. The tab called House is neat and strong. I added a tab called Memories, like I did for my mother's binder. In it, I put little things that helped us. Max's drawing with 2 houses and a stick figure with J above it, a photo of Lily with a napkin crown, a printout of the first "on time," a leaf from the rosemary that fell on the page and made a small imprint. It is not a wall. It is a book we can open on a rainy day. Jacob visits sometimes. Not a schedule, a rhythm. He knocks,
He wipes his feet. He is kind to the kids and careful with the room. He is not my child. He is part of our story now. That is okay. Love keeps letting more in without pushing anyone out if you build it steady. Mara and I wave across benches. We do not lean in. We do not turn away. We share small kindnesses that do not need a name. Once she sent a text that said he got into the community college, and I sent back, "That's good," and I meant it. Once I sent a photo of Lily's cloud cat drawing on the fridge, and she wrote, "He drew a better one because he didn't want to be beaten by a 9-year-old." And I laughed in my kitchen, alone.
At night, when the rain returns, I stand at the sink with the window open a finger's width. I listen to the drops make a soft song on the glass. The kettle hums. The house breathes. I put my hand on the cool edge of the counter and feel the steady under my palm. I say thank you to the room, to the rosemary, to the woman I am, to the people who showed up and didn't break the dishes, to the paper that held us in place when the floor shifted. I did not take the house like a prize from a fight. I kept it like a garden you tend every day because it feeds the people you love. I did not take the kids away. I kept them close to their beds and their hooks and their window with a string of lights. I did not win. I chose. I chose soup and paper and small steps. I chose a door and walked through it. I chose a life I can stand in without shouting. 1 year turned into 2. The binder got heavier. The house got kinder. The door still makes that soft click when I close it at night. The rosemary still leans toward the light. The kids still drop spoons and draw suns with too many lines. David still shows up on time. Jacob still laughs like a person who found a room where he can be himself without asking permission. I am not the same woman who opened the door to a boy in the rain. I am steadier. I am softer. I am more myself. When I make tea, I use the blue mug. I keep a green one next to it now, and sometimes I choose that one. It feels like a small, brave thing. When people ask me, with their soft voices and their busy eyes, "How did you do it?" I say, I made soup. I made a plan. I opened the window a finger's width. I told the truth. I stayed. That is all. That is everything.
Some mornings still begin with rain. It taps the kitchen window in that gentle way, as if it remembers who lives here. The kettle hums. The rosemary leans toward the glass and then stands back up, brave and green. I hold my blue mug and watch the street shine. The house feels like itself again. Not the same as before. Houses keep what happens in them, but kind. The door makes its soft click when I close it at night. The window opens a finger's width for good air. My feet know the path from sink to table without thinking, the way your body learns a song. We painted Max's room green, the soft kind that looks like morning. Lily put up her string of little lights and turns them on when the sun goes down early. The binder sits on the shelf by the door, not heavy like a worry, but solid like a book you trust. In the back, the Memories tab holds small good things, stick figures with too many sun rays, a napkin crown, one rosemary leaf pressed flat that left a faint green kiss on the paper. David comes on time. He leaves on time. He stands on the mat and ties a shoe if it needs tying and does not take a step past the line we agreed on. He texts before he rings. He sends photos only when they are needed to share joy, not to tug at anything. He feels like a steady point now, not a storm.
He learned that here is my home, the kids' home, and also that he belongs in their lives without living under this roof. Jacob is around in a rhythm that does not shake the room. He laughs with Max over a joke book. He lets Lily teach him to draw a cat that looks like a cloud again and again, even when he already knows. He is not a problem to solve. He is a person who found his place in the story without asking anyone to leave theirs. Mara and I nod on benches. We do not press. We do not pretend. We share small kindnesses, texting about a cold, a game time, thank you. There is a kind of peace in letting other people be exactly who they are and keeping your own house warm. It took a year and then another for my breath to feel easy all the way in and all the way out. Not because of one big thing, because of 100 small ones. Soup on Wednesdays, lists taped inside cabinet doors, a banker's kind voice, a paper that said on time in my neat hand, therapy on hard weeks, a rosemary bush that needed water on Sundays, and a little clip now and then so it could grow back fuller. I am softer now, not weaker, softer like a stone that has been held and turned and warmed. I am also firmer, the way a good dough is after you let it rest. I know what I keep no matter what, my children's beds in their rooms, our kitchen table, the blue mug, the binder, the habit of telling the truth with the window open and the kettle on. When people ask, and they do, how did you take the kids in the house? I smile a small smile and say, I didn't take them. I kept them. I kept the routines. I kept the payments. I kept the door gentle and the rules clear. I wrote things down. I asked for help. I chose quiet over noise. It is not a dramatic story. It is a steady one. It is the kind that holds. I think about the boy in the rain sometimes, the morning this new life knocked. I think about the way my heart tilted and then stood still and then began again. I am grateful to the woman I was in that moment, the one who poured tea for a stranger, who sent the kids to build a fort that could hold, who called a lawyer and a counselor, who put the binder on the table and set out apples, who said 2 words that changed everything. 2 doors. This is the lesson I keep on the inside of my cabinet where the mugs live. Tell the truth in daylight. Make a plan you can live with later. Protect the children's routines. Put the house on paper and also in your hands. Sweep. Water the rosemary. Rub wax on the latch so the door stays quiet. Forgive slowly and for real. Keep soup. Keep kind. On the first big rain of spring, the street went silver. I opened the window a finger's width and breathed in that clean smell you only get when water meets warm earth. The kettle clicked off. The garden looked back at me like an old friend. I set 2 mugs on the table without thinking, my blue one and the green one I reach for on days I need to remind myself I can choose differently and still be me. Lily and Max ran in, wet socks and loud joy, dropping their backpacks exactly where the mat wants them. We laughed and wiped and made toast. We ate standing at the counter, the way you do when life is simple and good. The door closed with its soft click. The house held us. I have learned that you don't have to burn a life down to make a new one. You can open a door, set 2 choices on the table, and pick the one you can keep. You can make soup while you sign papers. You can water rosemary and pay the mortgage and watch children sleep in their own beds and know deep in your bones that you did what love asked of you. You kept them safe. You kept them home. I lifted my mug and said a quiet thank you to the room, to the rain, to the woman I am now, to the truth that sat at our table and did not break the dishes. Then I went to the window,
opened it a fingers width more and let the good air in.